How's it going? I'm Billy Ray Hunnicutt. Welcome to my show. What do you say, Billy Ray? Where you can call in and you can ask me any kind of question you want to, and I'll answer your question, 'cause I'm sure I know the answer. And if not, I'll work really hard to figure it out. My first note came today from Dusseldorf, and Lee writes in and says, "Hey, Billy Ray, what do you think about all this election mess? Who you think's gonna win this election? Who are you gonna vote for?" Well, Lee, that's a great question. Let me start, though, by telling you why a few of these certain gentlemen are not going to win this election. Horrible marketing choices. That's right. You heard me correctly. I learned very early on in my law enforcement days, when you're running for office, you got to have a good campaign slogan. And some of these people's campaign slogans, they stink. Let me give you a few examples of how maybe they should have done things different. Let's start with my friend Ben Carson. Ben Carson, mind you, this is a brain surgeon. Ben Carson took two conjoined twins and separated their brains. I'm fairly certain he has more brains in the tip of his pinky than you and I have in our whole bodies. So I'm thinking to myself, maybe, Ben, just maybe, your campaign slogan could have been something like this. It's not brain surgery, or is it? 'Cause if it is brain surgery, you know who you want, don't you? This man right here. That's right. That's the man. What about Bernie Sanders? Well, Bernie obviously hasn't been doing a whole lot since the Back to the Future film days. So I think he very, very easily could have milked all his time in the movies. Tied that in with his campaign, right? 1.21 gigawatts of socialism. How about 1.21 gigawatts of uranium? Hey, I wasn't trying to offend anybody. Wasn't calling anybody an idiot. My apologies. Okay, how about old Jeb Bush? Jeb Bush, he'd been out for a while. But I'm thinking to myself here, my brother was the president. This is the first brother, right? You're going to have to cash in on that, brother. I'm going with something like this. I'm your WMD, Jeb. I mean, don't you get it? He's like the hidden secret weapon. That's where I'm going. I'm going with that, man. I'm milking it all the way to the farm. John Kasich. Now, what about John Kasich? Well, first of all, let me just say that every time John Kasich is on TV, my kids start yelling, "Hey, Mama, crazy Uncle Leo's on TV again. This guy's crazy." But then I learned something maybe you don't know. John Kasich secretly is a fruit ninja. That's right. He's a fruit ninja. That's cool, right? Now, ever since Ted Cruz came on the TV, I've been asking myself, who is this fellow? I do believe I've seen him before. Is Ted Cruz secretly Grandpa Munster? Or is Ted Cruz the lead singer of Stryper? Or is Ted Cruz both? Could be. I don't know. What do you think? All right, people, let's get down to business here. Donald Trump. Seriously? Are you serious? Do I even need to address this? My neighbors have been missing their border collie for like 3 weeks. Well, guess what? I found it. It's on Donald Trump's head. Have you ever seen an ostrich being thrown about by a tornado? Yes, you have. Donald Trump's hair. Hey, folks, I've been having all kinds of people say, "Man, why is that Trump always angry? Why is he yelling and screaming about stuff?" I don't know what he's saying. I can't pay attention to a lick of what he says. All I can do is pay attention to his hair. It's crazy. It's like the Death Star tractor beam, just sucking you in. I don't know what we're going to do about that. Well, and then, of course, there's Hillary Clinton. All I got to say about Hillary Clinton is Hillary emailed me not too long ago, explaining, Mr. Hunnicutt, I want you to be aware of the fact that I'm stealing all the ideas you sent me for my campaign. You know, when I got this email, at first I was mad, but then I realized Hillary hadn't stolen any of my ideas, because the first idea I sent her was, Dear Hillary, go away. Any moment now, that lady's pants are going to catch on fire. Kapoof, right there. Everybody around her is going to be burned to death. Don't nobody want to be a part of that. So allow me to sum this up by saying, here are your choices. Okay? So you might want to go with Hamburglar or Grimace. Good luck. In all seriousness, though, Mr. Duncan Booth, let me get back to your question. Who am I going to vote for president? Well, let me tell you who I think you should vote for president. And I'm going to make it real simple for you. Everybody make sure you got a pen and paper right now. You're going to want to write these 2 words down plain and simple. Are you ready? Tom Selleck. That's right. Tom Selleck, my friends. Magnum P.I. Why Tom Selleck? Why Magnum P.I.? Well, I tell you what. I got one word to explain why. Mustache. That's right, baby. Tom Selleck's mustache. Do you know who could kick Chuck Norris's butt in a fight? Tom Selleck's mustache. Google has an email address. It's gmail@tomsellecksmustache.com. I heard Tom Selleck's mustache has 3 girlfriends, and one of them is Scarlett Johansson. So that's right. You heard it here first, my friends. Tom Selleck for president. Magnum P.I. And Higgins can be his vice president. Right there. That is a butt-kicking White House. Let's go with it. Write it in. Magnum Higgins, 2016. Andrew McCoy writes in and says, Hey, Billy Ray, I don't know if you saw this or not, but first, Superman started fighting Batman. Then, Iron Man started fighting Captain America. All the good guys are turning against each other. What's the deal? I don't know if my heart can take anymore. Oh, Andrew, I'm so sorry. But you know what I might say to you is, these are fictional characters. You might want to bring yourself back to reality a bit. And also, just let yourself sleep at night knowing, you know that there's one person out there who could single-handedly kick all their butts. That's right. Tom Selleck's mustache. My next letter comes from Angie Hatch. Angie writes and says, Hey, Billy Ray, tonight's our Guatemala fiesta. Do you think you could tell us a story about Guatemala? I bet I could. Angie, tonight, I want to tell you the story of the very first pinata, or what has been wrongly known throughout history as the Trojan horse. Mexico and Guatemala, they're pretty good friends right now. It hadn't always been that way, though. See, in the early 1950s, the U.S. and Mexico got together and they planned a coup d'etat. You know what a coup d'etat is? Me neither. But they planned one, and here's why. The president of Guatemala, his name was Jacobo Arbenzo. Could you say that with me? Jacobo Arbenzo. Or something like that. And see, Arbenzo, he started getting stingy. You know what he was going to do? He was going to try and close all the Banana Republic stores. No jeans for you! No! You can't do that. No, sirree, Bobby. And so, coup d'etat time. Now, you got to remember, the Gap didn't open until 1969. And President Eisenhower, he liked him slim, straight jeans. President Cortinez in Mexico, though, he said, hey, before we coup d'etat, let's try the civil route first. So President Cortinez threw a party. He invited all the Guatemalans. Come on up for the party. They had nachos and tamales and sopapillas and stuff like that. At some point during the evening, President Cortinez and President Arbenzo apparently began to argue over who could hold the most Kool-Aid. So they went in a back room and they started chugging Kool-Aid through a vuvuzela. I do not recommend this at home, my friends. And as you can imagine, President Arbenzo got a little crazy with the Kool-Aid. Kool-Aid shot straight up his nose, smacked him in the front of the brain, rendered him unconscious right there. And of course, when all the men came in, he's laying in the floor, got red stuff all over his face because Kool-Aid comes shooting out his nose and his ears and everywhere. This don't look very good now, does it? So when President Arbenzo finally came to, he was not a happy camper. He OD'd on Kool-Aid, shot straight up his nose, probably still some left on the front lobe of his brain. He wasn't happy at all. He got all his people and he went back to Guatemala. And you know what he did? He boarded up all the Banana Republic stores. Said, nobody's getting in. Nobody. No jeans for you! No! So President Eisenhower and President Cortinez, the U.S. government and the Mexico government, they got together and they said, we got to come up with a plan. So they thought and they thought and they thought. And finally, they came up with a plan. So the Mexicans and the Texicans, they built giant papier-mâché horses and donkeys. And they crammed as many soldiers as they could inside the papier-mâché horses and donkeys. And they FedExed them to all the Guatemala Banana Republic stores. Now, they had to coordinate this so all the horses were delivered at the same time. And they selected 2-day shipping, of course, so they save a little bit of money. See, that's why I use Amazon.com. That Prime membership right there, free shipping, hey, man, that's the golden nugget. I'm going with that every time. I know what you're thinking. It's just Billy Ray and his helpless papier-mâché donkey. Well, little do you know, there's a surprise inside. That's right. So on June 4th, all the Trojan Pinatas were delivered. And the store managers saw the pinatas, brought them inside their store, didn't know nothing was going on crazy. Don't mind me. I am just a helpless, handsome donkey. And when they least expected it, all them soldiers jumped out of those horses' butts, stole all the clothes in Banana Republic, and ran for the border. Run! Run, amigos! Run! President Eisenhower, he's happy. He got his straight-leg jeans back. President Cortinez, he's psyched out of his mind because his papier-mâché horsey idea worked. Great idea, I might add. But President Arbenzo, he was mad. Real mad. President Arbenzo decided he was so mad he was going to institute a national holiday that would always remind Guatemalans we will never be duped again like this. And so now, every year, they celebrate 4 de Junio. That's right, 4 de Junio. Every 4 de Junio, Guatemalans have made papier-mâché horses called pinatas. And they've stuffed them full of candy and Banana Republic gift cards and beaten the holy doo-doo out of them. And kids run through the streets with sticks and bats screaming, Metar el burro! Metar el burro! Yo amigos, el burro va a caer. Sí, sí. So now you know the true story of where the pinata came from and how the Trojan horse was made famous. And you know why the Mexicans blow those vuvuzelas at soccer games. to taunt the Guatemalans. Hey, Mr. Guatemalan President, if you try and close Banana Republic again, I'm going to come over to your house with my pet beaver Chuck, and we're going to fill all your toilets with guacamole. Ew. What's that in my toilet? Holy guacamole. I don't